The first snowfall came early that year. In the quiet town of Maple Hollow, the wind howled like a grieving mother, and the streets, usually buzzing with children and traffic, lay empty, buried in a blanket of white. Every footstep crunched with sorrow. Joel Wren, 37, tightened the frayed scarf around his neck and stepped out of the diner's back door, holding a plastic container of leftovers. It wasn't much, some cold mashed potatoes, 2 dinner rolls, and a piece of fried chicken, but it was something. He glanced across the street at the shuttered florist shop where he once bought his wife her favorite daisies. She'd been gone 5 years now. Cancer. Too quick to fight. Too cruel to accept. He'd raised his daughter, Lila, on his own since she was 7. Now 12, she was strong and stubborn, just like her mother. But Joel, well, he was still trying to figure life out. His mechanic shop barely stayed open. During the winter, clients were scarce and debts were not. As he turned the corner toward home, he saw them. A young woman sitting on the frozen bench outside the community church, holding 2 babies wrapped in mismatched blankets. Her lips were blue, her eyes wide and panicked. Joel stopped. Something in his chest shifted. She wasn't from around here. Maybe 18 or 19. Her clothes were thin, just a long skirt and an old sweater. Her arms, trembling, clutched her girls close. Joel didn't think. He walked over, bent down, and held out the food. "Take this," he said gently. The girl looked up, startled. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. One of the babies whimpered. Joel unzipped his coat and shrugged it off, kneeling to wrap it around. The shivering trio. "You'll freeze out here," he said. "My house is 2 blocks over, warm, safe. You and the girls can rest. No one's gonna hurt you." Tears welled in her eyes, but she didn't speak. She only nodded. Back at Joel's small, rented house, Lila stared wide-eyed as her dad carried the twin girls in, wrapped like tiny burritos in his coat. Joel nodded at her. "Get the extra blankets, kiddo, and the electric kettle." The girl finally spoke as Joel set the babies down on the couch. Her voice was cracked, weak. "I'm Aisha." "Joel," he replied. "This is Lila." She swallowed hard. "I didn't know where else to go. They threw me out. My in-laws, my husband, died a month ago. They said I was a burden, that I brought bad luck." She turned away, ashamed. Joel's jaw tightened. The world had too many monsters hiding behind respectability. "You're not bad luck," he said. "You're just tired, and scared, and freezing. Let us help, okay?" Aisha nodded slowly. The twins stirred beside her. Lila stepped forward with a warm bottle of milk and a smile that looked far too grown up for her age. "They can stay, right?" she asked her dad. Joel looked at the 3 of them, fragile, broken, and somehow still here. "Yeah," he said, "they can stay." Joel hadn't had guests in years, let alone 3 tiny fragile ones who needed more than just kindness. But that night, something changed in the quiet corners of his modest home. Aisha slept on the living room couch, her arms protectively wrapped around her daughters. Joel gave up his own bed and took the recliner. Lila had taken it upon herself to make warm bottles every few hours, like it was the most normal thing in the world. It had only been 1 night, but already the air felt different. The next morning, Joel rose early and made oatmeal with whatever was left in the pantry, mostly instant packets and powdered milk. He watched as Aisha ate slowly, almost shamefully. "You don't have to keep looking over your shoulder," Joel said quietly. "You're not going back there." Aisha hesitated, then nodded. Her fingers grazed the birthmark on one of her daughter's cheeks, small, shaped like a teardrop. I thought marrying a reef would mean safety, a home, I never imagined. Her voice trailed off. He passed in an accident. He was the only one who treated me like I mattered. Joel nodded. Loss had a scent. He could smell it, on her like he did on himself. What about your family? Aisha looked away. They cut ties when I married without their approval. Joel felt anger rise but said nothing. He knew life didn't always come with neat conclusions or happy families. Sometimes it just broke people and left them to rebuild themselves from the dust. That afternoon, Joel went down to the garage. The cold stung his hands, and the heater was on its last legs. But there was an old Chevy pickup that needed work, and the owner had promised to pay cash. Money was tight, but he wasn't about to let Aisha know that. He'd been poor before. He could do it again, just not at the cost of someone else's dignity. Back at home, Aisha insisted on cleaning the kitchen, folding laundry, helping Lila with schoolwork. I need to earn my keep, she said, almost pleading. You already did, Joel replied. You survived. By the end of the week, something like routine had settled in. The babies, Rania and Ramin, started smiling. Lila read to them from her storybooks. Aisha laughed once, just once, while watching Joel fail at burping Ramin properly, and the sound had stunned them both. It wasn't love yet. It wasn't even trust. But it was shelter. And it was enough. But storms don't stay quiet forever. One night after closing up the garage, Joel returned to find a sleek black car parked outside his house. 2 men in suits stood by it, cold faces, expensive watches. Aisha's face went pale when she saw them through the window. My father-in-law, she whispered. Joel's blood ran cold. Joel stepped between the door and Aisha instinctively, shielding her with his frame. The men didn't knock, they waited. One adjusted his gold cufflink like he owned the whole town. Joel opened the door just enough to speak through the gap. Can I help you? The older man, sharp-jawed and steely-eyed, stepped forward. We're here for my granddaughters, and for my daughter-in-law. Aisha clutched the back of Joel's shirt with trembling fingers. He could feel her fear in his spine. They're safe here, Joel said, not interested in handing them over. The younger man, probably a relative, maybe a brother, snorted. She ran off without a word. Took our family's blood with her. Aisha stepped forward, her voice barely audible. You threw me out. You said I was cursed. The older man's face didn't flinch. We acted out of grief. Arif was our only son. His daughters deserve to be raised with respect. We can't allow them to grow up in a mechanic's shack. Joel's patience snapped, but his voice remained calm. That mechanic's shack is the first safe place they've had since Arif passed. If you wanted to be a family, you shouldn't have waited until now. The man narrowed his eyes. We can make trouble for you. You think a court will side with a broke widower over blood relatives with standing and wealth? Joel stepped fully outside now, the cold biting at his skin. Try it, he said, voice low. But know this, you come near those kids again. Without a lawyer, and I'll file a restraining order so fast your shadow won't keep up. He didn't slam the door, didn't yell. But the message was clear. Inside, Aisha collapsed onto the couch, tears streaming down her cheeks. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't mean to bring this into your life. I should leave. Joel knelt beside her. Don't. That's what they want. People like them. They thrive when good people run. We don't run here. Over the next few days, Joel met with a local legal aid lawyer, a sharp woman named Priya, who wore combat boots and didn't blink at bullies. She told him what to do: document everything, get statements, get guardianship papers started. He pawned his wedding ring to cover the first round of paperwork. He didn't tell Aisha. She noticed it was missing one morning. "You sold it. For me?" "For them," he said, nodding toward the sleeping twins. "And for the part of me that still believes doing the right thing matters." A week. Later, Joel came home to the smell of real food: lentils, rice, flatbread. Aisha had cooked. It wasn't just dinner, it was thanks. He smiled. "If you keep cooking like this, Lila's gonna forget I even exist." Aisha looked down, half laughing, half crying. "You saved my daughters. You gave us a life again. I don't know how to repay that." Joel said nothing. Some debts aren't meant to be paid, just passed forward. But outside Maple Hollow, wheels were turning. The men hadn't given up. Wealth had teeth, and they were ready to bite. Winter deepened in Maple Hollow. Snow piled against doorsteps, and the wind carried secrets from one chimney to the next. Inside Joel's little house, warmth still lived, in the giggles of twin girls learning to crawl, in the quiet trust between strangers becoming something more. But shadows were stretching. It began subtly. First, Joel's landlord came by with a notice. "Your lease ends in 2 months," he said, eyes avoiding Joel's. "I won't be renewing." "Got a better offer." Joel stared at the paper, stunned. "We've lived here 5 years. The landlord hesitated. "It's business." But Joel knew. Pressure. Influence. Someone was leaning on him. He didn't tell Aisha. Not yet. Next, his garage started losing customers. Appointments canceled last minute. Old regulars suddenly busy or going elsewhere. One even admitted it. "Heard you're dealing with a custody mess. Don't want drama." Word was spreading, intentionally. Lila noticed the tension. "Dad, why are you working late and eating less?" Joel forced a smile. "Just trying to make sure we're okay." But at night, after the house was quiet, he sat alone with the bills, adding numbers he couldn't change, wondering if kindness was going to cost them everything. Then came the letter. Fancy stationery, thick envelope. Formal petition for custody review, filed by the Khan family. Aisha broke when she saw it. "They're going to take them," she whispered. "I can't fight them. I have nothing." Joel knelt in front of her. "You have me. You have Lila. We're not letting them win." She looked at him, eyes filled with both gratitude and devastation. "But you could lose everything helping." "Me?" Joel shook his head. "A home that lets injustice walk in and take what it wants? That's not a home worth keeping." They met with Priya again. "They're using everything they can," she said. "Wealth, influence, character assassination. But if we show proof of abandonment, your care, and the danger of returning the twins to a toxic environment, we have a shot." Aisha nodded, shaky but resolute. Joel looked at her with quiet pride. She was no longer the girl on the bench. She was a mother ready to fight. Court was scheduled for 4 weeks later. Joel had a plan, but no guarantees. They were going to need witnesses, statements, every bit of evidence they could collect. He sold his broken-down motorcycle to print legal documents, worked nights at a warehouse just to keep food on the table. Still, when he came home and heard the babies laugh and saw Aisha reading them bedtime stories with Lila nestled beside her, he knew this was worth more than anything he'd ever done. But the Khans were not done. That night, Joel found his garage windows smashed in. Spray paint across the brick read, "Thieves don't raise heirs." He stared at the words, wind slicing across his face. He was no thief. He was a father, twice now, in a way he never expected, and he wasn't going down without a fight.